Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. My email is still tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's still in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. My email is tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched back in 2016 by Audemars Piguet. This is the Royal Oak Chronograph, and it was part of the resurrection of yellow gold in the men's Royal Oak watches that began in 2016. So it is 41 millimeters in diameter in yellow gold, 11 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip if we're just counting the case, 51.8 millimeters from end link to end link. The total distance horizontally across the wrist is going to be 54.4 millimeters. Now the timepiece is deeply impressive. The weight of it in the hand with its full integrated bracelet, its massive clasp and substantial case with solid gold case back, it imparts the feel of quality and, frankly, eyes closed, a bigger watch than it is. But in terms of ergonomics, let's throw it on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist and get a sense of how it wears. And just as it feels in the hand as though it might be bigger than 41, on the wrist you get the same impression, almost as though it wears like a 42 or 43 millimeter round watch. I could recommend this watch for a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. Again, mine is 16, but if your wrist is smaller than 15 centimeters circumference, you're going to want to find a smaller Royal Oak because these always wear a size or two larger than their rated diameter. Now, it isn't terribly thick. In profile, 11 millimeters thick with a sloped bezel. It's going to slide underneath a dress cuff, and in full yellow gold, it would pair well with dress attire. You can see, though, that the edges of the case are canted downward, which mitigates some of the fit issues. Very, very secure because of the way the bracelet counterbalances the watch head. So if you like to wear your watch loose, this one's not going to hula hoop as much due to the mass on the bottom. A big part of what you're paying for when you buy a Royal Oak, any Royal Oak, is the hand finishing of the metal on the outside of the watch. That includes the bezel, the case, crowns, crown guards, and of course the bracelet. And you can see that there is a little hairline bevel that expands over the lug hoods and then continues perfectly aligned down the edges of the links. Compress the links to one side, that is, pull them towards you, run your finger over the taper of the links, and you can see them shrinking, but you can't feel the step between them. That's how tight the tolerances are. We have vertical satination and profile, longitudinal satination on the top, and not only do we have the little polished bevel, but you can actually see that the inner faces of the plots, the intermediate links, they are polished. Attention to detail is outstanding, and it takes between 9 and 11 hours to hand finish the bracelet just by itself. Take a look. We have removable links fixed by screws here, not on both sides, so you should be able to find the right fit for you. The clasp is physically massive, polished, media blasted, and satinated. Taking a quick look at how it closes, it's a double fold, sequential close, which means one side closes before the other. The gauge of the metal is so great and the security so great that it feels like this clasp could be equipped on an offshore. Twin trigger release means it will never deploy accidentally. The case is beautiful with a combination of hexagonal shoulders around the chronograph pushers and the same motif, the shape of the crown, echoing the hexagonal white gold bolts that fix the rounded octagonal bezel. Back in 1972, when designer Gerald Genta created the first Royal Oak, he took inspiration from a vintage diving helmet to create that rounded octagonal shape. Now you can see that these bolts are slightly recessed within the bezel, and that's exactly how they're supposed to be. When they draw even with the top of the bezel, that's the threshold for replacement at Audemars Piguet. So you can see these are nowhere near protruding, so that's a good sign. The flank of the case continues the character line from the bezel through its midsection through the case back. We have screws and bars fixing the bracelet to the case, more secure than spring bars. I like to see that on a heavy and expensive watch. We have a little bit of expression of the bezel gasket. It's a hairline element, always a small and subtle styling feature of these Royal Oaks. We have here screw-down crowns, all three, and a 50-meter water resistance rating, which means, by my book, with screw-downs and a 50-meter rating, you can swim on the surface with this watch. We have the grande tapiseerie dial. It is a medium-sized hobnail. The mega is the large stamped one, and then the petite is the pantograph cut small hobnail that you see on the jumbo. The petite and the grand are both cut on pantographs, so this is crafted the old-fashioned way on a 19th century mimicry engine, and in recent years AP has been doing this in-house roughly since 2012. So they have cut this waffle dial, and you can see that there are between 10 and 20,000 individual dots or dimples on these dials. There's a texture over the hobnails and then in between them. They are incredibly intricate, and the way this works is the pantograph takes a large template and then it transcribes every detail of the large template onto a small brass template, which becomes this dial. And traditionally, the blue dials have been the most exclusive and most sought on the Royal Oaks. Now, this may have also been a one-year watch, or at least one-year dial, because in 2016, AP launched this gold edition with its blue dial, and then the next year it launched a new dial design. So you can see here we have 3 symmetrical registers, and they went asymmetrical in 2017, so this might actually be a one-year only case and dial combo. The watch does feature luminescence. We'll do a luma shot here so you can see how it glows in the dark quite well. And then in good taste, AP made the date disc the same color as the dial. We have applied logo, indices, and hands, all in yellow gold, 18 karat, and then polished chapter rings around each of the sunken sub-registers. The watch does not have a hacking seconds function, though it does feature a quick set date, so you can rapidly cycle the date should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month. We will operate the chronograph too. The watch features the AP 2385 movement. You can see we have a solid gold case back with 3 different finishes on it. The movement is based on Frederic Piguet 1185. There aren't a whole lot of changes made to turn it into an Audemars Piguet, but that's okay because it's already a finely finished, hand-assembled, high horology movement. Automatic winding with a unidirectional winding action. It has a 40-hour power reserve, pivots on 37 joules, and has a 3 Hz beat rate. It features both a column wheel for crisp function selection and a vertical clutch for smooth, stagger-free engagement to the chronograph, as well as safe, continuous operation of the chronograph if you wish. You can leave it running without additional wear or tear, thanks to the vertical clutch. Finally, this movement, which is ultra thin for an automatic integrated chronograph, well under 6 millimeters thick, it features a 5-position adjustment, which is the standard for chronometers and high horology watches. If you love this watch, email me. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.